ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Thursday, October 23rd. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK. If you don't want to figure that out on your keypad, that is 304-396-8255. We're going to keep the text line open all show today. We're going to hear a little bit more from Coach Gibson as we're getting set for Coastal Carolina. The Herd on the road next week, Thursday night game. So that means we've got a coach's show tonight. Back-to-back radio shows tonight on 93.7 The Dog and right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We've got Coach Jackson and Julie Folks. That's going to be at 6:05. That's going to be right after the show. So if you're on your way down now to Davis's place, get there quickly, get yourself a good spot. And then it's going to be Inside Marshall Football with Tony Gibson. That's coming up at 7:05. All of that coming up tonight right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So we're going to be running out of the door real quick to make sure that we get that show on. So that's coming up here in the next hour. But we'll hear a little bit from Coach Gibson before we get into that. Of course, the Herd this week off. Next week, a Thursday night affair against Coastal Carolina. And the band's going. I don't know if you saw that on social media, but the band is going. I mean, this has become a real effort to take over Coastal Carolina's football stadium. So the band's going. A lot of people ask about that. Hey, why isn't the band going? Why isn't the band going? And I know that comes up a lot. Well, it costs. You just can't walk the band in for free, but the band is going, and that's pretty cool. So absolutely should be a fun time in South Carolina. This is what the statement said that came out. This is from Gerald Harrison, your Vice President and Director of Athletics. He said in this statement, "We are incredibly proud of the Marching Thunder Pep Band for their passion and unwavering dedication in supporting our football student athletes as they travel to Coastal Carolina for Marshall's nationally televised game. A heartfelt thank you goes out to our talented students, band director Chris Shetler, and the university administration for their commitment and efforts in making this opportunity possible. While we recognize that opportunities like this cannot be offered for every road game due to financial constraints, we are truly grateful to Herd Nation and all who helped bring this to life. We look forward to seeing the Marching Thunder along with many friends, family, and alumni cheering on the Herd in Conway next Thursday night." So that's from your athletic director. And this is the statement that was released by Dr. Christopher Shetletter, director of the athletic bands. He said that the Marching Thunder is fired up to join Marshall Athletics on the road for the game against Coastal Carolina. "We're bringing the energy, the pride, and the unmistakable Marshall atmosphere to Brooks Stadium as we help push the Herd to victory. A huge thank you to our new AD, Gerald Harrison, and his amazing staff for all their support, collaboration, and coordination in managing the many moving parts as we prepare for this trip. We cannot wait to represent Marshall together." And this is, again, Dr. Christopher, and I apologize if I'm saying his last name wrong. I think I am. It's Shetletter, or Shetletter. Again, I'm apologizing up front. I do believe I am butchering his last name, but hopefully somebody will apologize for me if I have. I didn't mean to, but you get the gist of it all. So Marshall's sending the band. That's cool. This whole idea, hey, let's take over Conway. Let's take over the stadium. Let's make this a Marshall home game. Going to be on national TV, and you're going to see a lot of green out there. You're going to see the Thundering Herd basically making this a home game. You're going to hear the Marshall band, and of course, a lot of you would just rather hear the band on game days than some of the canned music. I know that's a subject right there. I don't even know if I want to open that one up. But here's the thing. Over several years, more people have come to appreciate the band. So you want to have the band go and have these opportunities. And honestly, it makes your band more attractive as a program as you're trying to attract people to fill the ranks and to kind of expand that. It actually makes it more attractive. Like, hey, how many football games will the band get to go on? How many opportunities will the band get to travel? Does the band get to perform outside of just usual game day at Jones C. Edwards Stadium? Those are kind of cool things. If you're a student and you want to go and be in the band and you're looking to join a musical program at a university, hey, I like Marshall football. I want to be in the Marshall band. But there's more opportunities. I mean, look at it this way. If you're a band student right now, look at your choices. It's very competitive in the state, in the region, very competitive. I mean, we had Amanda Barron on with us last week on our pregame. By the way, she went 5-1. I just want to shout out to Amanda. She went 5-1. She picked WVU to win, and I think she only did that because, well, she crosses over into both camps, so she didn't want to look bad by picking against WVU. But she went 5-1. And she's an OU grad, and she's like, hey, look, the band. We're there for the band. Football too, but we're there for the band. So, I mean, that's important. The band, depending on where you're at, is very important. Look at Ohio State. The band is very important there. So I thought that was cool when I saw that yesterday. We really didn't get a chance to get into it. So hopefully that can happen more than not. I mean, you can't send the band cross-country. Can you? Can you? Possibly. You don't have to worry about going to Texas State anytime soon and send the band, but you could probably take the band elsewhere. I mean, I don't know if you could ever send the band down to Boone or you could take the band down to one of the Georgia schools. You possibly could, but Coastal's easy. You can make that happen real quick, and so Marshall has. So we're going to get your text in this hour. Let's not forget that, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. It's wide open today, so it's going to be all you on the show. So if there's a place you want to take us, a direction you want to see us go, I put my career and the show in your hands or your thumbs, depending on how you type. So that's the text line there. When we continue, before we get to the coach's show tonight with Coach Gibson, I've got a few more comments. We're going to hear from him as we continue to get closer to Marshall at Coastal Carolina. All of that coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Hurt at work? Warner Law Offices is now here for you in Huntington on 4th Avenue, across from the courthouse. Personal, local, decades of experience.
Call 345-678-9.
Metro Community Federal Credit Union now brings you all the tech that big banks have, but still has that personal touch of a member-owned community credit union. Apple Pay? Got it. Digital wallet? Yep. Message pay by text, online loan payments, even chatting with a real person, not a bot. Open accounts, sign documents, and manage your money all online. It's the big bank tech you need from the local community-minded credit union you trust. Metro Community FCU. Visit metrocommunityfcu.com today.
Stuck in a state of falling behind, struggling to keep up with kids, finances, insurance, and life? Well, let your State Farm agent help you simplify and get to a better state. With State Farm handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% and help you get ahead. Call an agent today and get to a better state with State Farm.
In Huntington, Jeff Smith, 304-781-1234. And in Wayne, Vicky Tabor, 304-272-5149.
This fall, let the Car Ferry bring a little magic to your driveway at Mark Porter Auto Group. With locations in Pomeroy, Jackson, Ohio, and Ashland, Kentucky. Want to shop 24 hours a day? Cozy up with a cup of cider and browse our full inventory anytime at markporterautogroup.com. Fall into a safe, reliable vehicle and let the Car Ferry guide you to Mark Porter Auto Group in Pomeroy, Jackson, and Ashland. Or shop 24/7 at markporterautogroup.com.
Hi, I'm Elise Smith, First Lady of Marshall University and founder of the Women Warrior Summit. As a woman of Appalachia, you know how much strength it takes to shift direction, especially when you're carving a new path forward. Maybe you've been thinking about changing careers, going back to school, or even refocusing your energy on something you once loved. I am so proud to announce that the Women Warrior Summit is back for its third year, where we'll be focusing on the power of pivoting and how to approach life's turning points with clarity, courage, and intention. We'll hear from journalist, author, and entertainer Hoda Kotb, explore Jenny Blake's coveted pivot method, and even talk about how AI can support our next steps, whatever they may be. Join us Friday, October 24th at the Marshall Health Network Arena. Visit womenwarriorsummit.com to learn more. I hope to see you there.
Join Jose Andreas and Marshall University President Brad D. Smith Wednesday, October the 29th at the Joan C. Edwards Playhouse for a thought-provoking conversation with a celebrity chef, author, and internationally recognized humanitarian and co-creator of World Central Kitchen. For tickets, call Marshall Artist Series at 304-696-6656 or Ticketmaster.com. This event proudly sponsored by Kendra Communications.
160,000 kids stay home from school every day for the same reason: bullying. This is Dale Lee, president of the West Virginia Education Association. Bullying impacts nearly 1/3 of all students every year, but parents, educators, and concerned adults can make a difference. It takes just one caring adult to intervene and help stop the bullying. Victims need an adult that will listen, will stand up for them, and most importantly, show them that they are not alone. Bullying and cyberbullying have far-reaching effects, from a decline in academic performance to physical illness, depression, or worse. Help us create a safe, bully-free learning environment for all students in West Virginia. One caring adult can make all the difference. Take the pledge to be that adult at nea.org/bullyfree.
A message from the West Virginia Education Association. Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talkline, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Welcome back to our Thursday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930, streaming right now at WRBC.com. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I got a few more comments today to share with you from Coach Gibson's presser as we get continuing coverage tonight of Marshall football, 7 o'clock. Coach Gibson will be with the voice of the herd, Steve Cotton. 6 o'clock, we're going to have Julie Folks and Coach Jackson, Cornelius Jackson, coming up. So we got a full night, but we're going to wrap it up at least with what we're doing with Coach Gibson this week, starting with comments from Coach Gibson about the Sun Belt Conference Special Teams Player of the Week, Lorcan Quinn. I mean, what an amazing job he has done. He puts this team in a position to win. He changes the field position. He's dependable. You put him out there. If you get into field goal range, 3 right there, you know you're coming out with 3. You don't have to worry about it. You want 7, but you know that if you get into a situation where, okay, we can only get into field goal range this time around, Quinn's going to come out, boom, 3 right there. You take the points. So what did Coach have to say about just how much he has improved? I mean, here's a guy that was not born to the position.
Yeah, he's came such a long way. I mean, the first day in August that we had him on the field, he went through it, not sure about that he knew what he was doing. It was the first time he had helmet and shoulder pads on. So, but he's kicking the ball extremely well. He's a weapon for us on kickoff. And I'm not afraid to run him out there from really 60 yards and in. He has a chance to make them. So the one he hit the other night in the game, 48 yards, it hit 3/4 of the way up the upright. So it would have been good from 60. So, but he's got confidence right now. He understands. He's just playing really well. So happy for him and, winning the honors of Special Teams Player of the Week in the Sun Belt. So, and I'm sure that will be a pattern for him over the next 4 years.
I hope so as well, because you've got a solid kicker now. You've got someone that really anchors and solidifies that position. So you're good. Not a concern anymore. Hey, you need a field goal? Okay, send Quinn out. Hey, we need to flip the field. Okay, send Quinn out. We got to hit one from 60. We're going to shoot it out there. Let's try. So he definitely adds a lot of value to the team and helps in so many ways. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the game itself coming up. This is Coach Gibson. I was kind of curious. I'm always asking these kind of questions as far as just, hey, he's a defensive guy. And now I know that he's looking more at calling the defense, so he's looking at Coastal's offense a little bit more, but he is a defensive guy at heart. So I was curious just to what his direct take was on what this Coastal Carolina defense looks like.
I think they're pretty good. Up front, they're good. Their linebackers are good. They can be aggressive and hold up in coverage. And, and again, I've studied more of their offense up to this point. But, defensively, I've watched them a little bit. They're good. I mean, they held a good App State offense down for most of the game, made it a one-possession game. And again, I studied them a lot with the Old Dominion, but you can't because of the big splits. It's just so different, and you can't take that. We don't line up like that, so they're not going to play us the same way. I'm sure that and they have a new coordinator. He's only been there 7 games, so I'm sure they're getting better every week, and have a lot of respect for him. He's a good football coach.
So that's kind of his takeaway from what he sees on defense. I'm sure everything that both Coastal Carolina and Marshall would prepare for, you could probably throw some of that out because I know Marshall's going to have new looks on offense. Marshall's going to have new looks on defense, and I'm sure Coastal is going to have a similar point of view when it comes to, hey, they kind of know what we do. We kind of know what they do, so let's get ready for maybe places they might go. And, by the way, let's throw some stuff out there, hopefully, that they don't really anticipate. That's kind of going to be the game we're going to see early on until those adjustments. But, again, I feel good. The head coach calling the plays on defense, he made the decision to go out there and be the one directly in charge, and I think you've seen that improvement right away on the defensive side of the ball. Now, staying with how well this team has performed, there was a question asked of Coach. How do you feel just about the way this team has performed? And given the situation you inherited, just how do you feel about where you're at now? Do you think you're ahead of schedule? Are you right where you want to be? And Coach had an interesting comment about that.
To be honest with you, I feel like that we should be sitting here right now at, we played 7 games, 6-1. That's the disappointing part. And again, some of that was coaching, some of that was our players not being able to finish a game, bad calls by us. A lot of different things go into it. But, to be where we were at a couple weeks ago, losing the way we lost, it'd been very easy to lose a football team. And these guys have rallied, and that's what I'm most proud of. They want to be good. That they love each other. I think when it first started, they didn't know each other. Then they liked each other a little bit, and I think now they love each other and they have fun doing what we do. And so when you see that all come together, that's what I'm proud of. I mean, they love coming to this building every day and practicing. They give great effort, and that's all I can ask for. And they're going to continue to do that. And right now, I love where we're at confidence-wise, but just because we won 2 games that maybe we weren't supposed to win, we have to keep working because now, maybe we snuck up on ODU. Maybe we snuck up, I don't know. You know how football is, but, right now for us, people are watching us and now they know and all those things. So, we just have to keep doing what we do. And our enemy every week is us, that we have to guard against ourselves and not beating ourselves with penalties and different things. So, our kids we have to just keep working, keep doing things the right way and keep playing hard and, see where we're at on Saturdays.
I don't know if Marshall technically snuck up on anybody. I think the Louisiana game really showed that, okay, this team is a little bit better than maybe you thought. And Marshall didn't actually just get blown out anything. You look at the Georgia game, you throw that out. But Marshall was in a situation where it lost a game that it should have won. You lose a game you should have won, and you think to yourself, okay, we can fix that. The Georgia game, nobody thought that Marshall would pull that upset. I mean, it's not like going into Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a name. It's a power in the college football world, but it's at this moment in the last few years, it is not Georgia. Georgia is playing on its own level right now, and there are only a few schools playing at that level. So you take that Georgia game away, and then you lose by 1 to Missouri State. And I think Missouri State came in maybe a little bit better as far as a little bit more cohesive at the time. And this was game 2 for Coach Gibson and this squad. You beat EKU, and I throw that one out because, again, you're supposed to be EKU. And you beat Middle Tennessee, and you look at this and you go, okay, Louisiana, you think to yourself, they're supposed to be good, and you lose by 3 there. You lose in overtime. I don't think that, honestly, other than if you were just upset with the results, I don't think anyone was really overlooking this team. I could be wrong, but I don't think that Louisiana overlooked Middle or EKU or Missouri State overlooked Marshall or thought that maybe, Marshall was down. Old Dominion didn't think that Marshall was down. Of course, Texas State, I think, both programs kind of had a good idea that, okay, this team is better than the record. Again, coaches go by film. Film don't lie. So now we've got Coastal Carolina. That is your opponent. And I definitely know that Coastal's not overlooking Marshall. I wouldn't think so anyway. I mean, it's a rivalry game, right? You think that? I think so. It's going to be almost a home game for the Thundering Herd, right? Feels that way. The band's going. A lot of fans are going. A lot of sections are sold out. I mean, this might not be an all-timer in Coastal, but there might be a really good crowd there for this game between these two. So I don't know if anyone's really overlooked the Herd. So I'm going to qualify that by saying I don't think Marshall snuck up on anybody. If you look at record only, okay, yeah, that's a fair assessment. You look at the team on film and you go to your thought process of, okay, this team's got the bones of being really good. It's going to be good in the Sun Belt. And it's going to be good if it can figure itself out. And I think that's what we've seen here from this team. I got a couple other from Coach Gibson, but I'm going to save those for the other side of the break. And we're going to get your text in 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Let's go to the text line before we hit the break. Texter says, Paul, as a longtime Herd fan, I am curious, what are your all-time favorite victories in men's basketball and football? What made those games special to you? On the flip side, what losses stick out to you in those sports and why they were so tough for you as a fan? Go Herd. Just the top of my head, I think on the football side, the losses that stick out to me the most, probably the 87 1AA championship game. And I think my top 3 there would be also, I'm going to say, losing to Youngstown State. Any game against Youngstown State in football, the championship game, those stick out to me. But I think the 87 game sticks out to me. The loss at home against Kansas State, that really sticks out to me. That one makes me mad. As far as football and basketball, all-time favorite victories, I think in basketball, I'm going to say maybe it's going to be Marshall against ETSU when ETSU was ranked. I think that sticks out to me because that was a great rivalry. If you don't remember it, Marshall in the Southern Conference, Marshall had a great rivalry with teams like Chattanooga, I think Davidson. I mean, there were a lot of games where Marshall had some battles. And so I'm going to say it was a game against ETSU, and it was against, I think that's the game against was Taft there? But that's the first one that just pops in my head when you ask that question. I think Taft was there. I think Taft was on that. So I'm going to have to look that one out just to kind of remember that. But Marshall was in the Southern Conference. So let me look that one up just to kind of give you the full picture, because it's been a while on that one as far as a basketball win. I just remember that because I was there at that game. I remember being there, and it just stands out to me because I think Marshall's having a down year that year, and Marshall beats ETSU coming in, and ETSU was ranked. And that one sticks out to me. All-time favorite victory for football. I'm going to say it's probably a lot of people's pick, but it was the 1992 National Championship because Youngstown State came back on the Thundering Herd, and I'm like, oh, no, here we go again. I mean, even at that point, it was cue up the Dr. Charles G. Bailey meme, breaking my heart again. And, Marshall comes back, and Merritt kicks that field goal, wins it. I think I still got that game on VHS. I think I still have a VHS player. I might have to go back and watch that. And that game sticks out to me because I was a student at that point at Marshall University, and that game really meant something. I mean, I'm in the front row there. Also, just on a personal note, it sticks out to me because, my grandmother was a Marshall fan, so I took her to that game. So I got her. I mean, I wouldn't be able to get that kind of ticket again, if I ever tried. I was on the front row at Jones C. Edwards Stadium for that one, and I took my grandmother, and I thought that was really special. So, I mean, that's just kind of off the top of my head. I'd have to really think about that. But the basketball one, I think I go back a little bit to the fact that Marshall beat a ranked ETSU team, and it was a year I just really didn't like ETSU. Still don't. I'm sure there's something I'm missing here, but that's a great exercise, and we're going to have to revisit that. Also, from the text line, I want to get to this one before we go to the break, and I promise I would. Texter says, Paul, looking at the remaining football schedule, I see a 7-5 finish and a trip to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Where do you see the victories, and where do you see the losses? I'm going to ask you for that because you've got Coastal, JMU, Georgia State, App State, Georgia Southern. You're going to Boone. You're going to Atlanta. And you've got Georgia Southern at home. I'm looking forward to that. And you've got JMU at home. Where are the victories? Where are the losses? I'm going to ask you that. When we continue, we'll get more of your text in. 304-396-TALK. 304-396-8255. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Looking for midweek fun? Head to Frank's Place, where every night's a party. Wednesdays are full of brains and brews with trivia night. Grab your crew and show off what you know. Thursdays, crank it up with Singo Bingo. Music meets bingo for prizes and laughs. Then Fridays, we hand you the mic for karaoke night. Sing your heart out and start your weekend right. The fun never stops at Frank's Place. Great drinks, great friends, and good times. Frank's Place, located at the River Place Plaza, next to Fratelli's. Check them out on Facebook for weekly updates and specials. Frank's Place, your home away from home.
Leaves and interest rates are falling at the gorgeous Cardinal Chevrolet here in Hurricane. All new Silverado trucks, 2.9% financing for 72 months or up to $10,000 off. Plus Blazers up to $6,000 off. Traverse over $5,500 off. Trax $3,000 off. All with up to 125% of KBB value for your trade. New ownership, improved processes, better deals. Better deals. Better deals. The bow tie needs a better buy. Shop CardinalChevy.com. Together, let's drive. See dealer for details.
Here's another Kendrick Communications community chatter. Safe Harbor of Northeast Kentucky holding its annual Candlelight Vigil on Thursday, October 23rd at 5 p.m. This will be at 3700 Lansdowne Drive. It's in conjunction with October's observance of Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
This Kendrick Communications community chatter brought to you by Buddy's All-American Barbecue, home of the killer wings, great barbecue, ice cold beer in Huntington and Milton. Visit WVBBQ.com. Cabell Midland football season is ramping up. Tune in this season on your new home for the Knights, 927 and 985 The Planet. The Knights are back home this Friday facing off against Fairview. Cabell Midland Knights football on 927 and 985 The Planet. Presented by Marshall Orthopedics. Get ready for hard-fought battles and unforgettable plays that keep the excitement going through the final whistle. Listen to the Knights all season on 927 and 985 The Planet.
Join us for an unforgettable conversation with Javier Zamora, the New York Times best-selling author of Salito, coming to Huntington's Jones C. Edward Playhouse as part of the Masters of Marshall Distinguished Speakers Series on Thursday, November 6th at 7:30 p.m. His memoir tells the story of an unaccompanied 9-year-old boy on his journey from a small town in El Salvador to the United States to reunite with his parents. For tickets, call the Marshall Artist Series at 304-696-6656 or visit Ticketmaster.com. Sponsored by Kindred Communications.
As the weather cools, bugs may disappear from your windshield, but fall brings plenty of new challenges. Leaves, dirt, and dust, they can pile up on your car, while allergens and debris sneak inside, making your ride less fresh. Don't let fall get the best of your car. Stop by Thoroughbred Express this month for our seasonal specials. We'll wash away the leaves, dirt, and dust inside and out, keeping your car clean, allergy-free, and ready for the season ahead. Join the winner's circle with Thoroughbred Express. Head to thoroughbredexpress.com for all the details.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at MDA.org today.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. The nicotine in e-cigarettes is addictive and can harm brain development. That's why I worry about teens who try e-cigarettes. Many young people use pod-based e-cigarettes like Juul, which have high levels of nicotine. And because teens' brains are still developing, they can quickly become addicted. The tobacco industry uses fruit and candy flavors to attract young people, often turning them into lifelong users. For more, visit healthychildren.org.
Listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue on with Thursday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line is open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We had an interesting question earlier. Texter said, Paul, looking at the remaining football schedule, I see a 7-5 finish and a trip to the Myrtle Beach Bowl. I think Herd fans be okay with the trip to Myrtle Beach Bowl anytime. But my question was, where do you see the losses? Where do you see the wins? So I've gotten some texts coming in on that. Texter says, Paul, I see the losses at App State and Boone. Tough place to play. Coastal Carolina, weeknight game, trap game, looking ahead to JMU. And wins against Georgia State, JMU, and Georgia Southern. So those are the three wins, and those are the two losses. Do you agree that Marshall's going to lose against App State and Coastal Carolina, but win against Georgia State, JMU, and Georgia Southern? Or do you see it a little differently? You can chime in now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 to be a part of today's show here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. And that's a great segue into one of the comments that Coach Gibson made. He was just asked about this, about the depth of the league. I mean, every game is going to be a challenge. There's not one that you circle now at this point and go, okay, that's a Marshall win. Marshall should win that one. Georgia State, yeah, Marshall should win that one. Georgia Southern, yeah, Marshall's got that. No, I don't think you can really circle anything right now and go, okay, Marshall's got that. But I think you can be competitive in all those matchups, and Coach was asked just about the depth of the league, and here's what he had to say. Again, remember, this is his first go-around in the Sun Belt as a head coach, so he now has more focus on what the league's all about.
Yeah, this league's a really good league. You know, they're from top to bottom. I mean, every week you got to play. If you have a down week, you know, you can get beat by anybody in the league. So, you know, this is a really, really good league. I have a lot of respect for the coaches in this league. They do a great job. There's really good players in this league. It's very well ran. So it's a, you know, I think it's the best, you know, G5, G6 league in the country from top to bottom. There's some really good coaches, good players, and it's competitive for sure.
I think that's also the league's downfall, that it's competitive, because you get into the league and you sort of beat each other up. It's like a black and blue division. Yeah, no one's really going to take too much charge. Now, I know Coach Huff has got this Southern Miss thing rolling right now. He's looking pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It could be Southern Miss and maybe Marshall, if Marshall can run the gauntlet here. But that's the problem with this league. It's good and everyone's competitive. Or everyone's competitive because there's not one team that really stands above another. You could take that many ways. So that's probably the weakness, I think, as well, is that it's going to be a slog. You're going to have to fight your way through this league to get through and get to the championship game. And so you can have a team from a weaker league cruise through, and it's going to get the nod for the playoff. And that leaves probably a lot of good teams on the outside looking in. That's why I kind of felt like this thing is not made for – there's an access point. You can get in. But this thing isn't made to really accommodate some of those other conferences. It's made for the power conferences to get as many teams in as possible. And here, so we don't truly upset the apple cart, we'll throw you a bone. One more from Coach Gibson, and don't forget, you got questions for him, he's got answers. That's coming up tonight. Tony Gibson and his show coming up 7 o'clock right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. This was an interesting question. I kind of saved this one for today. With all the success you're starting to see from Marshall, and the players are starting to see success, and you're seeing, which teams are really good in the league, and you're seeing how Marshall's stacking up against them, and you're also seeing which players are kind of finding success. How do you keep the kids? I think that was sort of the gist of the question. How do you keep these kids in the moment right now instead of not looking ahead, especially with the transfer portal right now? If you're having a good year at Marshall and then you think, okay, this could translate into I'm going somewhere else. Coach Gibson's not shy. He's pretty blunt. I mean, if you want to be here, he wants you here. If you don't want to be here, see ya.
Yeah, I just think that, in order for a guy to leave wherever they're at, they're going to have to play good to get paid money and do all those things. So the best thing they can do is finish the season where they're at. And if that's what they want to do, we don't lock the doors from the inside here. If they don't want to be here, let them leave. But I think that if you create the right kind of culture here and you take care of your guys and you give those guys an experience and you're coaching them and they know you care about them, that's our job. And that's what we're going to do as a staff, and make sure that they know they're wanted here, they're going to get taken care of here, and we're going to play, great football at a great university in a great town. And if they don't want that, I don't want them. And, we're never going to be able to outbid people. And, we're going to do what we do and coach them, develop them, and love them up and coach them hard and hold them accountable. And, again, if they don't want to do it, so long. We'll play against you. I'm good with that.
Isn't that different? Isn't that different from the last guy? The last guy was like, hey, come on, talk to me. Let's see where you want to be. Okay, you want to be here? Cool. If not, okay, well, different points of view. It's like, hey, we want you to be here, and we're going to make it so you want to be here. But if you don't want to be here, see ya. Appreciate you. See ya. And he's not trying to sell it as if, the kid wanted to go play for an SEC school. That was a dream of his. Wanted to play at that next level. Wanted to play there. Who am I to stop him? I mean, Coach Gibson pretty much said that. Like, hey, look, man, we're not locking the doors here. You want to go. It's cool. But see ya. You want to stay? Hey, we're going to take good care of you, and we want to show you. We do want to take good care of you. We want you to stay. I mean, it's not like he's trying to push kids out the door, but and not that that's happened, but he wants guys that want to be here. That's it. That's the Marshall football mentality we have now. Like, you want to be here? Cool. Let's get down in the trenches and go. If you think you're going to get out of here, you better play good football here, because you're not going to take that act elsewhere if you want to get to the next level. But we want you here. We want to take you to the next level. I think that was my takeaway with that. I mean, I don't think he's being disrespectful. That's Coach Gibson. You can find out more about what he's thinking tonight. That's coming up. We got the Coaches Show. It is Marshall and Coastal Carolina coming up next week. Coaches Show tonight. Football at 7, basketball at 6, right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. All right, we got one more segment to go. Let's make it the best one. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop at 304-396-TALK. 304-396-8255. Final segment coming up. on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Earn more with 4 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Polka Valley Bank. Polka Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 4%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by one of the 8 Polka Valley Bank locations today. Polka Valley Bank, where relationships matter.
Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Polka Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
Transform your outdoors all year long with Roberts Lawn Care and Landscaping. Family owned and operated, serving the tri-state area with expert landscaping services. From vibrant spring gardens to cozy fall patios and everything in between. Roberts specializes in sustainable landscaping that thrives through every season, residential or commercial. Roberts creates personalized solutions to bring your vision to life. Call Roberts today at 304-633-5822 because your dream yard deserves 4 seasons of care.
What if someone could tell you what pest control issues you are most likely to have at your house in the next couple of months? Basically, someone that has like a bug or rodent psychic. Wouldn't you want that same person to handle your pest control services now? That's what Patrick, Becca, and the whole team at K&B Pest Control can do. They can predict the future. And better yet, prevent it from happening at your house. Call them now. 304-523-4281. K&B Pest Control, they'll kill for your business.
Leaves and payments are falling here at University Ford in Huntington. New 2025 F-150s, just $469 a month or take up to $10,000 off. New 2025 Bronco Sports, only $459 a month. New 25 Escapes, just $299 a month or take up to $9,000 off. Plus, grab up to 125% of KDB for your trade. New ownership, improved process, better deals. The bow tie means a better buy. Shop us now at universityfordwv.com. See dealer for complete details on all offers.
Start updating your home today with Menards. We have what you need to give your bathroom a fresh, updated look. Shop Menards' great selection of bathroom products from American Standard. No matter the size of your bathroom, American Standard offers a superior line of toilets, faucets, sinks, and bathtubs. Complete your bathroom update today with American Standard. Plus, view our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Let's pack Paycor Stadium with orange and black on Sunday, October 26th at 1 p.m. when the Bengals take on the New York Jets.
At halftime, we'll celebrate the induction of our 2 newest Bengals Ring of Honor members, 1970s cornerback Leapin' Lamar Parrish, and in his 50th season with the Bengals as an offensive lineman and broadcast analyst, Dave Lapham.
Join us in the jungle Sunday, October 26th. Go to Bengals.com for tickets. The Bengals-Jets game is presented by Fifth Third Bank.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
Final segment for today's edition of The Drive. Let's get those texts coming. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter wants to know if I've heard about Operation Home Game for the Herd fans to make Coastal a kind of home away from home game. Yes. Have heard about it. The band's even going. I don't know if you heard that, but Gerald Harrison, he's heard about this. He's sending the band. Herd fans, of course, have taken advantage of being able to pick up as many tickets as possible. I mean, I don't know how many Herd fans we're going to see, but this is sort of a home away from home. I mean, Conway could be a suburb of Huntington if we really pushed it. I mean, we get city council to kind of push the annexation. We could annex South Carolina and Conway. We can annex Myrtle Beach. I mean, it is a part of West Virginia, right? Oh, yeah, I've heard about this. This is going to be a interesting sight to see, a nationally televised game when there's a lot of Herd fans. I mean, that's going to stand out more. For anyone that actually tunes into that game that's not normally a Marshall or a Coastal Carolina person, they're tuning in because they want to watch the college game that night, and they see a lot of Herd fans there. They're going to go, oh, okay, yeah, Marshall, doing Marshall things. Also from the text line. Texter says, Paul, let's give the coaching staff a lot of credit for having the team ready to play. I think we have turned the corner with these last 2 wins. We still need to put a complete game together. I'm thinking Del Rio is the best quarterback in the East. Coaches get the defense on point, feel good about getting the win next week on the road. What say you? You're doing awesome. Rock on. That's from Holmes. I think Marshall's got a legitimate shot of winning this game. The defense has been on point. The head man saw that the defense needed his tender love and care, and so the man who's head coach now, who's a defensive guy, didn't think that the defense was probably getting it done, and so he calmly, coolly, and collectively said, I'm calling the plays. It's a team effort. We all lead here. It's a team effort, but I'm calling the plays. I'm going to be the guy calling the plays. And that's fine. You can be the head coach and you can be the guy calling the plays as well on one side of the ball. It's not unheard of, and it's fine. I mean, that was the thing. You brought in to replace Coach Huff, who I think really grew into his role. I mean, say what you will about him. I think that he has proven his self as a very capable coach. But you bring Tony Gibson in, and the thing is, he wasn't a position coach. He was a coordinator. So he gets it. He can get going a little quicker. I mean, that doesn't mean that Marshall's going to get going a little quicker, but he's going to come in and he's going to have a better concept of what it's going to be like as the head coach. Something's not working here. All right, I'm going to have to make a change. It's not like, I'm just going to have to ride this. No, I got to make a change. We're not where I want us to be. I'm making a change. Quarterback situation. This isn't working. All right, Carlos, get in there. Show me you want the job. Show me you can keep the job. Making the changes. I mean, that's important. That's important to me because you're not just standing by your decisions. It's not working. Make the change. And he wasn't a jerk about it. He didn't throw anybody under the bus. He didn't blame anybody. He said, look, yeah, the coaching mistakes on my part. There's some things that didn't get done. We're fixing that. Not, hey, we're closing the gap here. Didn't lay blame on really anybody and took responsibility. Absolutely. I'm completely behind this coaching staff, top to bottom right now, because this staff is not afraid to admit this isn't working. This isn't a trust the process. This isn't the plan is infallible. I mean, none of that stuff, none of that coach speak. It's just like, hey, look, we're going to go out there and we're going to coach them up and we're going to play hard. We're going to win football games. Yeah, you got to show up. You got to come to work every day. If you're on my team, you got to come up here and be ready to go. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting from this staff. So absolutely, I feel good about where this team. And again, I'm happy with 4-3 with lessons learned. I mean, that's my theme. That's my crutch right now. 4-3, lessons learned. Georgia, welcome to college football as a head coach. Then you get in a situation where, okay, here's a close game. It's a loss. What'd you learn from it? And honestly, I don't have anything against the loss to Missouri State. That was a winnable game. But Missouri State's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. And I think Marshall was probably better. But at the same time, how do you get better? Lessons learned. New team. New coaching staff. And sure, the team lost to SMU. I'm looking at Missouri State. But it got wins against UT Martin. It got wins against MTSU. It won against New Mexico State. Lost a kind of close one against Western Kentucky. So that team's 4-3. But it just beat New Mexico State, and it could beat FIU. So I don't think that's a bad loss. It's 2-1 in conference, 4-3 overall with games to go. All right, enough of that. We're done. Coach's Show is coming up next. Basketball, then football. Have a great night, everyone.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.